Today, while I was live streaming, Marco told me that John from MG Tow had decided that he was going to quit his job. He doesn't watch my channel, and he's basically become a person who is in need, not in education, employment, or training. That's frightening because I thought he had gotten an apartment and soon to be settling into a normal life. Well, this afternoon, I saw the super cute blonde cashier at Kroger's, and I asked her what she was doing because she works one shift or two shifts, maybe a couple times a month. And today, oh my God, I was trying. She had her bazungas out today, and it was really hard for me to not let your eyes wander, ladies. When they're out, it is very hard for us to control our eyes. So, anyhow, I was talking to her because she waved at me in the store. And I walked over to her and I asked her what her plans were because she just graduated from high school last month. And it frightens me every time that I meet a Gen Z and they have no plan. It's like for Gen Z, the plan is not to go into education. They're not really employed at the minimum wage. And training, well, I've met quite a few girls that have gone to the EVIT, right? EVIT, when I was a kid, was a punishment for the kids that got kicked out of school. It was where the bad kids got sent. Today, it's an enormous place where people go to learn trades. And there's a girl that I met at Walmart a few years back, and we became Facebook friends. Actually, we became regular friends. And one day, she just cut me off. She sent me pictures of her toes, and then she blocked me, and I never saw her again. So I don't know what happened there. I think her boyfriend might have found out that she was talking to other men and got pissed off at her. Anyhow, she went to EVIT. She got a certification in radio, and she was working at Walmart. Like, this was a person who was going to end up working at Walmart forever until she got fired. And then she got fired from her next job, and then her next job. And I'm assuming that she's going to be one of those Gen Z girls that just bounces from job to job because every time that I've taken a low level job, all the people around me seems like they've worked every crappy minimum wage job known to man, and then they go on repeat. Because crappy jobs, even if they fire you, they'll rehire you because there's so many positions open and they can't find anyone really who wants to take them. When I worked at Insight, it was not uncommon to have a person get fired and then see them like in the cafeteria a few months later. In fact, I saw three or four people who got fired and then they got rehired because when you have a job that sucks, just because someone didn't do the job right doesn't mean that they're going to not take you back because they're not planning on keeping you forever. They're just planning on keeping you long enough so that you can do the job for a little while, you burn out and then repeat, right? At least most companies, that's the way that they handle hiring people at the bottom. Because in my experience with four Gen Zs so far, it hasn't been good. They're not people that you want to hire, right? But when you're looking to hire someone for $20 an hour, you have to look at it from the perspective of can they walk and chew gum? If they can walk and chew gum, boom, you're hired. And it's the expectation that you won't be there long. And it's most Gen Z realize right away that that this isn't going to be a career. And once Gen Z realizes it's not going to be a career, then they have no interest. Then they become the quiet quitters because they don't care. 20 bucks an hour isn't going to, rocket you into the highlight. And if you're wondering why I'm doing this particular topic is when I asked ChatGPT this morning, about what I should do my videos on, this is what it said. Your next 3 videos should be what they don't tell you about paychecks, the new American dream, don't bite it at work, and why Gen Z is quiet quitting reality, which is not going, it's not going to be the title of this video, but that's the subject matter that I'm working with. So let's see what ChatGPT wrote me today for my opening monologue. They told us if we worked hard, stayed in school, and kept our heads down, we'd be rewarded. But now I'm 25, broke, burnt out, and watching my friends spiral into depression over jobs they hate and apartments they can't afford. It's not that we're giving up, it's that we're waking up. And what we're waking up to is a reality that was never built for us to survive, let alone thrive. That's the reality for Gen Z. There are tens of thousands of people right now that just graduated from university. I'm going to say 2 weeks ago, that are out there in the same job market that all the federal workers that got fired are in, looking for the exact same jobs. And I had someone yesterday ask me, is it worth pursuing a different career? Gen Z guy watches me every day, always leaves nice comments. And the reality is, it's not worth it to go back to school. Because if you've been working in fast food, it means that you don't have any experience doing anything. And this is the hardest part that I have with Gen Z is that if you've been working, let's say you're an older Gen Z, right? And you've been working your whatever dead end minimum wage job you have, and you want to go back to school, whether it be a university, a college, a trade school, whatever you want to go into, you are going to be in direct competition for the jobs that you want with people who have been working in those fields since they started their careers. And let me ask you this as a, what do I put this? Uh, I don't know how to say this. If I was an employer and I had someone who just freshly got out of school, someone that went back to school for, let's say, 4 years minimum, right, to learn how to do something, to learn either a trade or get a college degree in something, and I had the choice between hiring someone of the same age, but one person has the same college degree, but they have 3 to 5 years of experience. Who do you think I'm going to choose every single time? I'm going to choose the person with experience. Because let me explain this to you. Today, I got called into work because there were problems in the network closet. Of course, I don't spend a whole lot of time in there. And even though it was just power related, I didn't get any training in that, right? But because I've been in closets, I've been in equipment closets since I was a teenager. That experience means that even though I don't know what I'm doing when I walk in there, it means that I can figure it out. And once you have to figure it out, that is the experience that you're paying for as an employer. If I had to send any of my Gen Zs into that same equipment closet to figure it out, I don't think a single one could have been able to do it. Why? They just don't have the experience. And it's not their fault. And this is what I tell every young person that's out there. It's not your fault that you can't get the experience that you need. It's the corporations that do not want to take the time to train people anymore. They have gotten to the point where they're so spoiled and there are so many people looking for the same jobs that they only hire the people with experience. And once you are out there searching for a new job with a fresh college degree and you don't have any experience, you're at such an extreme disadvantage. And I've said this throughout many, probably hundreds of times, if not thousands of times over the past 20 years on this YouTube channel. Remember, I have 20 years of making videos on YouTube. That's the experience that I have with doing this. I didn't just start doing YouTube yesterday and I'm trying to figure out how it works. I have been trying to make a career out of being a YouTuber for so long that being a YouTuber and being in the industry in which I currently work are one and the same of the number of years of experience that I have doing this job. Now, you tell me, let's say you got out of school last week and you have a media degree. Great. You know how to make TikTok videos, but you don't have 20 years of experience. You don't have 3 years. You don't have 5 years of experience doing this. That's what hurts you. And corporations know that if they train you, that chances are you're going to use that training to go find a better job. And this is the problem with job hopping. If you know that you can go get a better job, why would you stay at your current job? That's the thing that they lock you into. That's where Gen Z sees the trap. Job hopping is very normal for young people. Corporations don't like people who show up and there's no loyalty whatsoever. But guess what? There's no investment on their part. There's low trust between Evil Corp and Gen Z. Gen Z knows that Evil Corp wants to fleece them from behind, or welcome to Pound Town. I can't get enough of that expression. I'm going to use it in my videos all the time from now on. Every time you guys say something crazy in the chat, like if you guys didn't watch the chat of the live stream today, the chat was absolutely lit. Especially Inu Blue with her one-liners over and over and over again. The chat today was absolutely hilarious. That's why I had such a good time doing that video today. Because it's like spending 2 hours with the friends that I don't have in real life. So, fake promotions, work trauma. When you show up at a job, because I was sitting at a salon when I looked at my phone today and I saw my boss's name. And if I had to count how many times he's called me on my personal number for work-related activities, I think this is just the second time that I've ever talked to him outside the 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. Just because it hardly ever happens. Normally, a server room just buzzes. It just works, right? That's what it's supposed to do. Occasionally, things stop working. And that's where you come in to work on the weekend. I mean, I'm not on call. I'm not exempt. There was no reason for me to go in other than my work was about 10 minutes from where I was at Walmart to the Walmart, I guess the Walmart shopping center. I was actually sitting at the salon. And this is what I didn't explain to him. He asked me how far I was from the office. I'm like, it's a 10-minute drive. Then he asked me, it's like, well, why didn't you tell me that you were, at the salon? It's like, well, you just asked me how far I was. That's what you asked me. So drive time to get there wasn't very far. And it's not like I live an exciting life either. I mean, my life is far from exciting, people. So having to go in and deal with work trauma, well, it's just part of everyday life. And that's something that I've noticed about Gen Z is that they're not good at thinking, right? When you ask them to do something and they don't understand, it's not like they try to figure it out. In my experience, and please, if you are Gen Z and you want to add to this conversation, just put a comment down there. Because in my experience, Gen Z is the most antisocial generation of human beings that I have ever met. And so when they don't know how to do something, rather than figuring it out, they just shut down. And I've seen this over and over and over again with Gen Z. They're not people who are going to adapt to a situation. And it's a universal behavior with them because they are very antisocial. Most of them don't have any friends or very, very few friends. It's such a strange generation of young people. But at the same time, like with the girl that works at Kroger's, I mean, I don't want her to fail at life just because she's young. But at the same time, I can see how her generation is really going to suffer. She works at that grocery store because her mother told her she needed to have a job. But what are you supposed to do when that job, working in a grocery store, might be your career? Or it is just going to be one of many dozens of jobs that you're going to have in your 20s. And this is what I told her today. You're not getting anything out of working in a grocery store. You're not getting experience. You're not building resume. You're not building things to put on your resume. When you're working a dead end job, all you're doing is wasting your time. If what you're doing right now can't be put on a resume, if you, oh Lord, who's that protein shake? Ooh, uh, I know I'm probably going to have to stop this video because I can feel myself getting the Hershey squirts because after I got back from the gym, and again, I never work out, I never lift weights this late in the day. I'm usually an 8 a.m. gym guy, but today I was actually planning on going to the gym straight from the salon until I got the call of duty, which I just got right now. Anyhow, I got home, I drank a protein shake really fast, and now my bowels are shaking. So, my three topics were going to be: the system is broken, not us, says Gen Z. Dreams cost too much, so we stopped dreaming. Digital disassociation is a survival strategy. Gen Z lives half online not because they're addicted, but because it's the only place they feel free. Scrolling isn't laziness, it's anesthesia. It's how you cope when the real world demands everything and gives you nothing back. What do I keep saying on this channel? You will own nothing and be happy. I think Gen Z realizes they're going to own nothing and they don't want any part of not being happy. They want to own nothing and be miserable. They want to own nothing and not participate in society. I think moving forward, as long as Gen Z has the comfort of their parents' home, and every Gen Z parent knows this, every Gen Z parent that I have met in the last few years understands that their children are not going to be able to be kicked out at 18. I think I read like 60 or 70% of Gen Z right now, if they're not living at home, depend monthly on their millennial parents or Gen X parents, whoever their parents are. They depend heavily on them to pay their rent because they can't do it on the jobs that they're allowed to access. You're not going to hire a Gen Z right now for $100,000. That's what Gen Z thinks that they're worth. And that's why when they enter the workplace and it's more like 30,000, and Gen Z sees what they can buy with 30,000, because $30,000 a year is the minimum wage in Arizona. That's if you can get it. As I mentioned before, every retail job that I've ever had likes to keep you at between 19 and 31 hours. That's no medical insurance. That's not enough money to live. That's not enough money for a house. That's not enough money for a car. You will be happy and own nothing. Doesn't work for Gen Z. They want to own things. They just want to get to the top as quickly as possible. And that simply isn't going to happen because the corporations see no value in people without experience. So let's close this out with my monologue here. So if you see us pulling back, going silent, logging off, It's not apathy, it's self preservation. We're not lazy. We're tired of begging for a seat at a table that feeds us crumbs. Gen Z isn't quiet quitting reality because we don't care. We're quiet. We're quitting because reality stopped caring about us a long time ago. And if we're going to rebuild anything worth living for, we have to stop pretending that this was ever normal. So, this is what I've been saying on this channel for years now. They're trying to normalize crappy jobs. They're trying to make it seem like you're the problem. It's not the wages, it's not the crappy jobs, it's not the lack of flexible hours, it's not the lack of flexibility in the workplace. It's that they truly just want slaves that don't complain. They want people who don't say anything. They want people who will take it and take it and take it. And believe me, Fleece never gets tired. Never. He is always as ready to go as a wooden baseball bat. It never goes down. He's always game for another round with you. And unfortunately, you get to a point where you touch that part of your body and it hurts. It starts to get tender. Fleece isn't real big on making sure that you have a good time in the workplace. No job wants you to be happy. Remember, the more miserable you are at work, the harder you will work. People who are financially comfortable aren't scared. They are people that will start slowing down. They are people who don't fear losing their jobs. No one in America right now should believe that they have job security. Every one of us has an expiration date stamped right on your forehead, right next to the big L. There's an expiration date. And it's hard to live like that because it means that you're constantly suffering from mental problems. Financial problems translate directly into mental problems for us because we're creatures of stability. We always have been. We're social creatures, but for the most part, we all do the same thing. And it is a very traumatic event to lose your job, knowing full well that you don't know if you're going to be able to get another one. I just saw Astra come back into the comments today. She was missing for a few weeks, and I was deeply concerned as to what happened because every time I talk to her, she's more sad. And I asked her today how she was doing, and she told me she's not doing well. I don't know how many times that poor girl's been laid off in the last year since she's been coming on this channel. But layoff after layoff after layoff, she can't find stability. And so she told me today that she's doing gig work in order to be able to wait it out until she gets another corporate job. But it's a perfect example of a Gen Z girl that's doing everything she can and nobody wants her. And my heart goes out to her because I think it was a few months, maybe 6 months ago, she told me that her parents wanted to move in with her after her parents threw her out because they can't find work. I mean, that's a tough nut to swallow, right? Because they threw you out and now they need your help and you're stuck between the rock and the hard place. Do you help people that threw you out because they're your parents and you don't want to see them living on the street? Or do you help them because you're a halfway decent human being? Tell me what you would do down in the comments, and I will catch you guys in the next video.